Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the A segment of episode 28 of The Loud House, Intern For The Worse. We begin this segment at Royal Woods Elementary School, where Lincoln explains to the audience that the day this segment takes place on is the day of the 5th grade internship fair, where he and Clyde are hoping to work at one particular facility, Flip's Food and Fuel. And Flip has a new outfit as of this segment, so in Season 2, Flip gains a new outfit, not necessarily a redesign. He has a red t-shirt now rather than the white t-shirt he wore in Season 1. Flip wastes no time in hiring Lincoln and Clyde, partially because he sees the both of them agreeing to work with him as a 2-for-1 deal, and partially because they have no criminal record. This is also where Lincoln and Clyde refer to their team up. They combine their names to refer to their team up as Clink and McCloud. Would that be with the fusion dance or the Patara earrings, I wonder? Well, at Flip's Food and Fuel, Flip provides instructions with Lincoln and Clyde about what to do around the store, although his methods are definitely cutting corners, and they're not the most sanitary, to say the least. And he eventually decides that just to give the boys some more incentive to work hard, he'll promote one of them to manager, the one who does the most effective job. And the manager will be able to acquire the unlimited Flippy's Cup. Now, a Flippy is essentially it's like a slushie, or Flip's equivalent to a slushie. And the unlimited cup, as the name would suggest, means that it's the cup for someone who can have as many Flippies as they want. So it starts to tempt Lincoln and Clyde, but they still want to try and make sure that their teamwork is the most important aspect of this internship. But yeah, the unlimited Flippy Cup compels them to start to compete with each other, although they try to be subtle about it. And we see a couple of customers enter or stop by the Food and Fuel, and 3 of the customers happen to be 3 of Lincoln's sisters. The twins come together in Lola's princess car, and apparently it takes actual gas. It's not like the toy cars I had in my day. And yeah, while Lincoln is filling up the toy car, Clyde cleans the bathroom, so both the twins are impressed, because Lola wanted to use the restroom, but she thought it was too disgusting until Clyde cleaned it up. So that contributes to the tension between the two friends. And the third sister is Lynn, and she actually comes with one of her many sports team, and Clyde's able to fill up the whole order of food for the sports team. One of Lynn's friends and teammates is named Margot, voiced by Lara Jill Miller, who's also Lisa's voice artist, and she wants to use the restroom, but Lynn forbids her from doing so, reciting something she said back in Sleuth or Consequences about how they have to win first before they can use the restroom. And there's a reason why I'm bringing that up. You'll see at the end of the segment. But in any case, it becomes a little more obvious to Lincoln and Clyde that the two are competing with each other, even though they claim to still be working together. So yeah, the competing becomes more obvious, and eventually Flip decides to give the unlimited Flippy Cup to Clyde. Lincoln complains about this, and Flip actually says he's sympathetic to Lincoln's plight and offers him an even higher position than the one Clyde got. And after doing some, kind of, disgusting chore, he gets the promotion. And we get a whole back and forth where Lincoln and Clyde keep trying to one up each other, and Flip keeps giving the unlimited cup to one or the other. And eventually, when it came to using the keys to the bathroom, that's where Lincoln and Clyde lost track of who's in charge of who, and they start to fight over the keys. But then they end up stumbling towards Flip, who's putting some fishing gear in his car. He's talking to presumably a friend of his over the phone about how he has time to fish, because he admits to the caller that he pit Lincoln and Clyde against each other, so he could pretty much get free labor out of them. And Lincoln and Clyde realize that they've been tricked, and they do apologize to each other for competing with each other when they should have been working together. And they actually do end up coming up with a plan to get back at Flip. They end up revealing that because of Flip's various promotions, they had access to the security cameras, which show Flip's, cutting corners, and and how disgusting it is, and how if it got on the internet, Flip would be, he would not be able to keep his food and fuel going on if it spread out to the internet. So Flip begs them not to do it, saying he'll do anything. So we now have Lincoln and Clyde are now the ones relaxing, and Flip is serving them Flippies while he does all the chores that he made them do. And as this is going on, Lynn's sports team finally returns. They apparently had another victory, and Margot rushes to use the restroom finally. And as she's leaving, she apologizes for leaving a mess, and Lincoln and Clyde assure her that they have someone to take care of that, so they send Flip in there to do it. And thankfully, we, the audience, don't see the mess that Margot left behind, but whatever it is, the segment ends with Flip not being happy about what he's seen, but it's a pretty fitting punishment for him. Now, this segment stood out there was a big thing that stood out to me for this particular segment, and I would argue this is probably the first time where Lincoln and Clyde actually argued with each other. And I say arguably because some people might consider Overnight Success to be the first example, but I didn't really see that as a full-on argument. It was really more of Lincoln being upset at Clyde and Clyde wanting to mend fences with Lincoln, but this time we actually have Lincoln and Clyde actively at odds with each other, so that's why I would consider this to be the first time that they've actually are at conflict with each other. And it was a nice touch because I think it's important to keep in mind that even friends, best friends even, are going to argue sometimes. It's no different from family members because, you're going to argue and disagree with your family members from time to time. And the same can happen even with friends and best friends. I do remember I've had my share of disagreements with friends of mine in the past, but we always mended fences, and there was no ill will in the end. So thankfully, it never reached any. It never crossed into any truly horrific or unforgivable lines. It was nothing like that. Like, it was like usual arguments, but we always made amends with each other, and that's what I liked here. Yeah, Lincoln and Clyde were competing with each other, but they did make amends, and they're still friends by the end of it. And I think that's a good thing to show from time to time. And it was Flip who was the antagonist for the segment. Flip had made several appearances in season 1 as kind of very minor roles, so Yeah, this would be Flip's first major role, and yeah, he definitely served his role as an antagonist very well. And it kind of reminded me of how in Out on a Limo, it was Lord Tetherby's bad influence that made Lincoln act more like a jerk, and eventually Lord Tetherby had received the punishment for his part in the conflict. That's what it sort of reminded me of, but again, it was executed in a different manner. Flip was the root of the conflict since he was intentionally pitting Lincoln and Clyde against each other just to get free labor out of them with the because yeah, he was using the unlimited cup to bribe them, and he did get his punishment in the end, as he was the one who had to do all the chores and all the problematic things that he made them do. So, and especially yeah, what that ending, like, thankfully we didn't have to see it, but yeah, Flip kind of deserved it. And yeah, there were very few of the Loud Sisters in this segment, which definitely caught a lot of people by surprise. I mean, granted, this isn't the first time where only a handful of the sisters appeared, and there had been segments where only one of them had appeared, actually, now that I think about it, but it was still. But I guess it made sense because it really was more about Lincoln and Clyde than any of the sisters. But it was nice to see some of them appeared. And in Lynn's case, we did get to meet another of her teammates, Margot. She actually shows up in some future segments on a couple of Lynn's other sports teams. So she's kind of like a minor character, but it's nice to have a name for another character who's friends with one of the Loud Sisters. It kind of adds to it just helps to expand their social circle. So I thought that was a nice touch. So overall, yeah, I thought this was a good segment. It was a nice touch to show that even friends are going to be at conflict with each other, but it is possible for friends to make peace and still be on good terms with each other after the conflict has passed. And Flip got a well-deserved punishment for his role in the conflict. And like I said, it was nice to meet another friend of the Loud Sisters to kind of help us have some idea of what they do besides what they do outside of the family. As to be expected, the B segment will be next. Take care, and until next time.